Hello and welcome to this episode. I am so lit about this episode because this is something that literally no one is talking about. If you're noticing that since you started healing, raising your standards, or doing that deeper inner work, you've swung hard in the other direction, away from what hurt you. Maybe you're thinking, why am I suddenly not tolerating the things that I used to? Why do I feel more reactive? Why does it feel like I don't recognize myself sometimes? This is because you're in recalibration. And this episode is for you if you've ever swung hard away from the past version of yourself and then wondered, wait, was it all that bad? Oh my gosh, I don't even recognize myself. I'm gonna explain to you what this pendulum swing is about, why you are going to the next extreme as you're going through this identity shift, and talk about the thing that no one is talking about, okay? The pendulum swing is when you leave an old identity, your system, it doesn't land in balance with that new identity immediately. It swings, and it often swings dramatically as it learns what no longer fits. And this happens especially after long periods of self-abandonment, people pleasing, over functioning, over responsibility. The pendulum swing is to show you the edges of your truth. When we experience pain, burnout, trauma, our body couples that identity with danger. The nervous system says, nope, never again. I'm never going to tolerate that again. I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to be that way again. So we swing all the way to the opposite extreme. For example, let's say you got bit by a dog when you were younger. That was traumatic for you. And then that's a live stored trauma in your body. And now anytime a dog comes near you, you're like flinching, like, oh my God, it's going to hurt me, right? But that didn't last forever, right? You may have swung a little bit into a balance of you're still cautious, but now you're more open to maybe petting a dog. So you realize that your best friend's dog is so cute and just comes up to your lap and you can pet her. And then you start to learn that, oh, I could trust dogs again, right? But at first, there's that pendulum swing of I am terrified of dogs, okay? This is why people go from hustle to, I don't want any structure at all. I just want to be in my feminine energy. This is why people go from that masculine strategy to rejecting any kind of strategy entirely. This is why people burn down their entire identities. Hello, I did it. Okay. Last March, I remember sharing an IG live about when I was going through this nervous system mastery work and learning somatics and all of that. There were a lot of things that came up, and I was like, this is a belief that I've had, that I've been conditioned to believe, that I no longer want to carry with me. And I spoke about it. And that belief was from a former business coach that I had in 2021 when I was talking about teaching mindset to other bridal beauties. He's like, you can't teach that. You're not certified in teaching mindset. People want to learn strategy. They want to learn business. And I really got into my masculine energy after he told me that. And I thought, oh, okay, this is what people will pay for and want to learn. They don't want to learn mindset. And then after realizing that I was conditioned to believe that, and I had that false belief weighing on me, I swung purely to my feminine energy after that, which I've been craving and missing for so long. And and then I had to come back to myself. And because you need that yin and that yang, the masculine and the feminine. And it was such a powerful teaching moment for me, because for me to swing all the way into my feminine, because I had rejected it for so long with this false narrative or false belief. But then I realized I was rejecting so many parts of my brilliance within, of my pure genius within. I'm a projector. I'm the guide. I see the gaps and things that you don't see. Okay. That is very that much masculine energy. And I don't have to choose between embodiment and intelligence. I don't have to choose between flow and structure. I get to do both. And wholeness, it isn't choosing a side, it's holding both. Both can be true. And I want to give you some more real life examples to be a mirror for you, to see yourself at this moment. And if there's anything that's coming up for you at this moment as I talk about these things. I used to have over tolerance for things. Okay. I was kind of a people pleaser. And now I once tolerated things that just didn't feel good. There were certain conversations that I would just tolerate. And I was like, oh, I don't really be having this conversation right now, but I guess so. Cause right. I mean, in my people pleasing era, there were certain expectations, certain dynamics that I just tolerated. And then I started to become hyper aware. I became less patient. And I was like, I really don't want to be in rooms with people or have those friends where I have those conversations and they just like suck and drain the life out of me. I choose to be in rooms where I have expansive, incredible conversations. And I became quicker to say no to things and no to people and situations. And it it felt like very sharp and very abrupt. So if you're experiencing this right now where you're just like, nope, that's a hard no, I am tolerating things a lot less. I'm just feeling like, nope, this like a switch has flipped. Like this is the new me now. You are going through an identity integration. You are going through this pendulum swing. And this sharpness, this new you, right? Of who you're becoming, it is your system learning where actually is your line, right? Like where actually is your truth? Because this is like going to the far edges of your truth. There was a time where I would overdo, and now I'm pulling back away and I am protecting my energetic capacity. There were years where I was conditioned to believe that I had to push, I had to prove, I had to produce. So then, because of that, because I noticed that and I witnessed that in myself with the healing, with the inner work that I was doing, my pendulum swung into rest and craving space and rest and slowness and quiet and fewer outputs. And that slowness, it felt uncomfortable and even just a little bit scary. Like, what? Like, who am I when I'm not proving or performing or doing, right? Like, am I actually being productive right now? But I felt safe because I was learning my nervous system mastery at the time. I was getting certified in somatics during this time, during this identity shift. And thank God I was, because that taught me to have safety in my body as I was learning how to rest and recalibrate, and that my worth isn't tied to my to-do list. And rest wasn't like the destination of everything. It was the detox that was needed for my system in order to realize, okay, where am I comfortable in this? Where do I want to rest? Where do I want to pour my energy? Which leads me into being a people pleaser and now having strong discernment. Strong discernment can feel like isolation at first. You're like, is it just me here? Like, wait, I really don't choose to be around these kind of people or be in these spaces. And it could feel quite lonely, especially when people don't understand what you're going through. And you ask, you're just like, I don't resonate with this anymore. And there's that like grief that comes along with it when you outgrow rooms, when you're being truthful to yourself. Oh my God, I'll give you this example. This was wild. This was just about a year ago, where I was invited to an event here in my local area. And it was an event. And at this time, this is when the identity shift was happening. And I was like pendulum swung. And I'm like, no, I want to expand beyond the beauty industry. I've been in it for over 20 years. And this is when I was like, I want to lead the leaders. And I was just feeling this like detachment from the beauty industry in this moment. But I was like, okay, I'll go and support her, and I'll go to this event. I paid $100 for childcare. I drove all the way to downtown Charleston, and I went in that room. I went into the event, and I felt so out of place. I looked at my friend who got it and understand it too, and I was just like, why am I even here? I'm not here for the conversations. I'm not here to really connect with anyone here. They're not really like my people. And the person who invited me like didn't even make me feel like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for being here." It's like I just felt like I was just there, and for what purpose? Just to like be another person in the room. And it just gave me the ick. And I remember I came home and I was so angry because I'm like, I just was away from my kids and spent this amount on childcare and went down there, and it was for nothing. And I said I should have been more discerning with my choices, because like internally I felt like the no, like don't go. But I felt like I wanted to people please, and like she really wanted me there, and like was having the event here in this location because she knew that I lived here, and but yet I didn't feel like welcomed in the room. And I remember coming home and going in my closet and just breaking down, crying and being like, why am I acting like, oh, this is who I am now? Like, and I was like, because this is who I am now. And I am owning who the fuck I am. And oh, I'm just like about to tear up thinking about it because it was just such a moment of me being grounded in my truth and my power and being like, it's okay. And giving myself permission, like, it's okay if you outgrew the rooms. Yes, it hurts. Yes, you're going to feel the grief along with it because, wow, these were the relationships that you have cultivated for years in this industry. But it's okay for you to grow and evolve and have higher standards and want to have different conversations. You have permission to outgrow the roles that you once had. You have their permission. I was telling myself this. And I was like, I'm not being like, oh, my nose is up and like, this is who I am now. It's like, no, this is who I am now. And I should have listened to myself that day. And it's okay that I didn't because it taught me this lesson and it's allowing me to share this story with you right now. You have permission. The grief is going to come with you outgrowing your roles. There was grief in outgrowing me being a bridal hairstylist and saying no to styling brides and saying yes to being an educator. And yet there was so much joy in being a bridal hair educator and teaching others until it wasn't anymore, until I was like, no, now I want to lead the leaders. I still grieved those older versions of myself. And that's why there was just that big pendulum swing because I was like, I attached so much of my older identity in that industry. So loneliness, it's going to feel very lonely for a little bit unless you have just your ride or die women that are, they're growing along with you, which I highly recommend. Like, get in a mastermind, find that person that is just like so aligned with you, that is just your industry bestie, where you would have these deep, expansive conversations and you don't feel alone. But you're going to feel some loneliness. And it doesn't mean that you are off of your path. It means that you are simply just in between identities. The pendulum swing, it is necessary. It is necessary because your nervous system, it learns through this contrast. Balance, it isn't something that you can just think your way into. Okay, you literally have to have the lived experience and we have to feel our waves. We have to feel our way into it. The pendulum swing, it teaches where the old edges were maybe too loose. And you're like, yeah, no, don't want to do that anymore. Don't want to abandon myself. And where the new edges are maybe a little too rigid. Okay. This is what I'm talking about when I totally said no to like associating myself with the beauty industry anymore because I associated the beauty industry with burnout. As I learned this nervous system mastery, as I learned the ways in which I was leading and teaching and being before was associated with people pleasing, with performing, with proving, with burnout. Like I coupled, okay, this is when I learned about coupling and nervous system mastery, I was like, oh my God, this is it. I coupled burnout with the beauty industry. So I far pendulum swung and I was like, I don't even want to talk about the beauty industry anymore. I just want to lead the leaders and talk about the iconic women and those that are here building movements. And I did that far pendulum swing. And I didn't just leave the beauty industry. I had to decouple it from my nervous system because it became associated with all these things, with the burnout, with the proving, with the people pleasing, with the performing. And my system was like, nope, we are done. And that was completely necessary for this evolution. You find balance by allowing the swing to fully complete itself. You have to go through this growth and evolution. But this is the danger zone. When you identify with the new extremes of your identity shift. When people get stuck and they're saying like, this is just who I am now. I guess I'm just not intolerant anymore or disconnected or withdrawn. Extremes are meant to show you information. They're not necessarily your whole new identity. The pendulum swing, it is simply a phase that you go through. It is not your final form. I totally had a moment this week where I realized I have come full circle with this. It was wild. I remember just voice noting my friend after I had this conversation with one of my dear friends in the beauty industry. I hit her up. I was like, "Hey girl, how are you doing? Like, let's go get coffee." And afterwards, I was like, I witnessed myself from the outside and I was like, "Oh my God, I see myself from the outside looking in. How drastically different I was as a person having a conversation with this woman, with my friend, when we haven't seen each other, by the way, in like a year and a half, like just life's been crazy, whatever it is. But I witnessed myself being a completely different version of myself with her. And I witnessed myself just like in this new identity. I there were certain things she was telling me and sharing with me about her business and things that were happening, and the old me wanted to immediately go in and try to fix and prove that I can help her and all these things. But I didn't overgive. I simply had a conversation like a friend, like I asked her questions, and I was just a purely regulated leader seeing so clearly. And I'm going to dive into this exactly what that conversation is in another episode, okay? But what I witnessed was the way in which I led the conversation was a completely different way than I would have led it with my old identity. And I also didn't couple the beauty industry with like, nope, not going there anymore. I genuinely was like, oh my God, I see exactly where I can help her, where I could be a guide, where she could hire me to actually do this, but I'm going to give her the space and time that she needs to look at her other options first. And then I'm going to come back with my proposal. Meanwhile, the older version of me would have tried to convince her to work with me instead of giving her the space. Like I felt so grounded. I felt so regulated. It was the most, oh my God. And then it was like the eye opening of like, oh my God, I actually am meant to also serve those in the beauty industry as well. Anyway, it just felt like this beautiful, beautiful full circle moment. So I want you to ask yourself in these moments when you're like, yeah, I'm feeling all this. I'm feeling like this is who I am now. This is the way I am, right? This is what I'm no longer tolerating, whatever the things. I want you to ask yourself, what is this showing me? Why do I feel so strongly in this belief, in this new identity, in these actions I want to take? Like, what is this actually showing me? What boundary am I learning? What capacity am I rebuilding within? I really, really want to encourage you to just simply witness yourself and not fix. Okay. I don't want you to go into like fixing mode. No, I just want you to simply witness because like I said, it's information. Notice when you are at an extreme. Take a deep breath, put a hand on your body, and just say, this is information and I'm safe. So, what if you completely rejected because it once hurt you? What part of yourself did you burn down just to feel safe? Because you're like, nope, that thing hurt me. So, no, goodbye. Where might you be ready to reintegrate with boundaries and not fear? I witnessed myself in that conversation with my dear friend in the beauty industry from a completely different perspective and space. I was having a conversation with her in my new identity, with my new boundaries and with my new standards and my new way of being. It felt so fucking freeing, like so freeing. So it's allowing you to like go through this process and then realize, okay, when can I start to titrate and get myself in these situations where I'm like testing the waters, seeing where I can come back to more of a balance. Because leadership, it is not about being perfectly regulated all the time. Okay? It is about self-honesty, self-honesty, self-observation, and self-responsibility. This is how leaders stop repeating cycles. And the more that you can witness yourself from the outside in, the less that you need to control yourself to be a certain way. It's about witnessing and saying, what story is this telling me? What is coming to surface right now that I need to really face and dig a little bit deeper? If you are in this swing right now, nothing's gone wrong. This is just, like I said, a process that you have to go through. And this is what I guide women through, these identity transitions with discernment and with safety in your body. And in the next couple episodes, I'm sharing how I personally navigate this, how I decide when to move, when to titrate, when to really expand my edges, when to pause, and how to lead from true alignment. Because balance is not something that you can force, it is something that you earn through awareness. I hope something in this episode landed for you today. And if it did, please reach out to me at XO Renee Marie on Instagram. I love you so much, and I just want the best for you. It's time to remember who the fuck you are, icon. Mwah. Love you.